it's that I realized our brothers and sisters are so aware, firstly, of their own human limitations. But because of that, like if I'm a human being, like if God's grace really is sufficient, then my human weaknesses are always setting me up to experience God's power. And they know that, which is why, like on this trip, they consistently said two things to us. I think in all these meetings, it was one, they gave thanks for God's provision. And the second was that they asked for prayer. So for me, like, it really did transform my prayer life, because it showed me that while we sit here and sometimes think, like, there's a reason why we don't pray without ceasing, as Paul tells us to in his letters, right? And I think maybe it's because we think prayerlessness is a time problem, when actually, from what I saw overseas, like prayerlessness is almost always a humility problem, because we feel like we're sufficient within ourselves. So we're not as needy, and therefore we don't pray to God and recognize that I need to humble myself, because if I'm a human being, I'm always going to need God, especially if it means going out there in his kingdom to build the church and to fulfill what it is he's called me to do. There's a sense in which we're almost fighting this God-likeness, like somehow in our perfection all about in ourselves and our gifts, like that will somehow make our ministry better. But in fact, that just means we'd be doing ministry independent of God's power.
Yeah.
You know? So it really is, that to me was transformative. They truly understand that their limitations are not an excuse to not spread the gospel, because we have been given, like you've been praying about recently, because of what Jesus had done for us on the cross, that same hope and that same power is now in us. So there's no excuse, really.
Yeah.
And they know that. They know that. That's why they are so on fire to build God's church. It's incredible.
So challenging.